Yes, yes, yes. What's up, Prowess?
What's up? What's up, everybody? Good evening, and welcome back to the glorious fourth episode of this season of Boom Bap Chat. I'm your host, Prowess a Testament with MC Till.
What up, what
And
up?
tonight we have a treat. We're joined by the esteemed the Beatminerz, the legendary production duo behind some of the most iconic tracks in hip hop. If you know I Got You Open, if you know Buck 'Em Down, how many MCs, then you know their sound. They've shaped the sound of Boot Camp Click and beyond. So far this season, we've had a little bit of everything. Representing Chicago Boom Bap, we had Rita J last week. We had Mark Cooper and Nerdcore in Detroit. S representing T Dot. But tonight, we turn our attention to Bushwick, the birthplace of the raw and gritty sound of the Beatminerz. So it's also October, and we're celebrating huge milestones in hip hop, iconic albums like Common's Resurrection from '94 and Farside's Lab Cabinet, California in '95. And we're turning heads with anniversaries this month. So let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce the Beatminerz to Boom Bap Chat.
Yeah. Woo.
So
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm just savvy to inform you that Mr. Walt is not here, but the ghost of Mr. Walt, he is here.
Wonderful.
So, yes, it's not Mr. Walt, it's these letters that say Mr. Walt, and that's who you'll be talking to.
Excellent.
All right.
And we have the real in the flesh, DJ Evil D.
Yo, what's up? What's up?
Peace.
Thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out.
No doubt.
Yeah, I want to get started historically before we bring folks up to speed on the new release or the most recent release, Stifled Creativity. But before we do that, I kind of want to get an idea of what was the atmosphere when you first started producing, and what was the vision for your sound? So I wonder if you imagined at that time that it would shape an entire movement.
We just wanted to make records, and majority of our friends was doing it, and we were friends with people like Large Professor and Q-Tip and people like that. So we just wanted to do what they were doing, and we didn't know it was going to go to the level that it went to.
Yeah, and if we said we did, we'd be lying.
Right.
Now, when you were starting, and you named some notable, legends also alongside you, which producers did you look up to when you first started? Like, how have your influences evolved over
time? We mostly looked up. Well, I mostly looked up to people like the Bomb Squad and Marley Marl and Hitman, Howie T, like people like that, and Rick Rubin, of course, like all the pioneers that came before us.
Yeah,
we're just fans of the game and fans of the music. So yeah.
And let me ask you this: looking back at your career, what do you think has been sort of the most significant contribution that you've made? Because you really, I feel like there's a boom bap conversation that has to be punctuated with your sound. And what do you think is sort of the most significant contribution to the canon in that way?
Yeah,
I'll say we brought that hard but melodic sound to hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Because the beats we make are hard, they're bassy, they're punchy, but they're also melodic. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say we brought that to the game. Like we didn't do anything that anybody else wasn't doing. We just did it our way, Like, everybody, oh, y'all the filter, this, that. There was filtering before us. But we just did it our way. Oh, your drums, the way they snap. Drums were snapping before us, but we did it our way. And that's what we brought to the game, just us, our style of doing what we do. Some people say we kind of started lo-fi. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see that. Do you now when you were starting it, were there any specific moments? Like what would you say would be your most significant or your proudest moment as producers?
Proudest moment?
I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Working on different soundtracks and Bucktown being like the number one. This is when Billboard used to do 12-inch singles.
Yeah.
And Bucktown was like number one for maybe 5 weeks in a row.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that, record, just doing that, and then just working with artists like D'Angelo and Eminem and Naughty by Nature, and like artists like that is just, every year that we do something, there's another surprise. So when we was working on Stifled Creativity, we were lucky enough not only to work with De La Soul and Pharoah Monch, but we got to work with Corey Glover from Living Color on the My Year song. And so every year that we've been in the game for over 30 years, and every year it's a different surprise.
Yeah.
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 Do you have, when you're working with artists and collaborations, do you typically guide them through your vision, or do you adapt your style to fit theirs? Because there's so many variations, and even the artists you just named. I mean, there's a lot of differences, but somehow there's this, I feel like, signature sound that comes through. Right. Do you guide them through that process, or do they kind of like adapt to your style?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like when we make records, it's everybody's record. So everybody, everybody gives a little bit of themselves into the record. And sometimes we will adapt, and sometimes they come to us and adapt to our sound. So it's a joint effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. And in terms of, I always wondered this for production tools, what's changed the most about how you work in the studio now versus when you first started? Because technology, right?
Yeah, technology. Simply, when we started, it was analog. I'm saying analog with a little bit of digital, because sampling is digital.
Yeah.
Right.
But we started in the analog stage. We started with 2-inch tapes and like all types of analog stuff. And now with the digital, the only thing I tell people is the difference is that it's just a piece of equipment. We still do our stuff the same way. We still produce the way we produce. So it's just the analog digital difference. That's all.
Is there a difference in how you approach sampling today compared to when you first started, or DJing versus producing when you first started to now?
I mean, it's more of a technology thing, like E said earlier. Production, the more advanced the machines are, the more on top of what we do. It shows within the work. Like the way the machines are now, we are more like in tune and on top of the sample, where back in the days it was just you place it here and you do this and you do that. So
yeah,
it comes back to technology, really.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll add on to that is and this is something I tell all producers: do not let technology run you. You run the technology, because it's like back in the days, we was SB 1200 and a Kai 950, 900, 950, and basically we was doing loops. Then when we, with the SP, we started chopping more. Nowadays, you can actually throw it in the sample, it'll chop it for you. But I don't use that. I still use my ears, because you need that real swing. And if you leave it up to today's equipment, it'll put you on the grid. You know what I'm saying? You have to learn how to create a swing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Create a swing and make that swing hit,
Yeah.
Like when we do stuff, there's a certain swing to it. You know, it's on the grid, but it's a little bit off the grid.
Yeah.
I love that because I was just in the studio with my engineer. Someone made, hey, I can't snap this to the grid. So he was rigid. In that case, right, he doesn't have the same ability to think with swing in mind. He needs it to be, I need it to be this BPM all the time throughout the so it's like, well, everybody's freehanding drums now. But I'm like, that's not now. That's this has been happening. This is what boom bap is. What do you think? Speaking of that, like, what do you feel like your most? Has there been ever a beat that you would feel has been the most challenging beat you've ever crafted, and why would you call it the most challenging?
Challenging beat? Probably Rod Digger type. Yeah, that's probably our most challenging beat, and that's the beat people like. Out of all our records, people say, yo, I want a beat like that. Like that probably is the leading candidate of, I want a beat like that. Let me get that beat. And, you know, we never tried to recreate that beat because that beat is good where it's at.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a dope beat.
Thank you.
I'm curious to know, you know, more on the technical side. If you listen to Into the Stage and then The Shining, and then fast forward a little bit to like, you know, the second Black Moon album.
Right.
There's definitely changes, specifically with drums and the bass lines. I'm curious to know, I remember hearing you guys talk about how you just were trying things and learning things on the Shining album. Was there something specifically about bass lines and drums that you learned, like a new technique on that album specifically?
Every album that we have done is a stepping stone. So Into the Stage sounds like that because that was our first record.
Yeah.
So we were experimenting with a lot of things. Matter of fact, technically, we didn't even actually like program. I didn't start programming until late Shining, early like Heads Ain't Ready remix and going into Nocturnal. That's when I started programming. Before we would just, like when we were doing Into the Stage, we would just bring a bunch of loops either on record or on cassette tape and tell the engineer, yo, put this on top of this, do this, do this, do this, do this. We took the money that we made from Into the Stage, bought equipment so we could go ahead and start The Shining.
That's dope.
The Shining was more hands-on production.
Yeah. Because with Into the Stage was made with an Akai 612 sampler, which is the mother of the 900, 950 series. And the sequence, we use this drum machine called the Casio RZ1, which if you listen to the Nice and Smooth records, that's the hi-hat from that machine on all their records. And we started with that, and we went from that to a 900 and a 1200. And Walt stayed with the 900. I bought a 950, 1200. You know.
Is it safe to say by the time you got to like the Warzone phase of production, were you all like doing less filtering of bass lines and more like playing bass lines?
We was doing both.
Or doing both.
We were doing both. But one thing we would never, like, we don't like doing what everybody else is doing. So once everybody started doing the filtering stuff and stuff like that, we moved on to other things. You know what I'm saying? Like all our records, they somewhat sound different. Like you could listen to Who Got the Props. Who Got the Props does not sound like How Many MCs.
No.
And then How Many MCs don't sound like Soundboy Burial. Soundboy Burial doesn't sound like Tight. Tight doesn't sound like Warzone. You know, like so all our stuff we grow. Nothing sounds like Take That. Like Take That was a totally different record.
Yeah.
So you know, we all like all our stuff to this day is just a stepping stone. It's just like steps.
Now, when you say that, I wonder too, because I feel like there's a conversation I've had with people about like Bucktown, this memorable bass line, it's gritty drums. How do you like approach EQing the drums and bass to keep the ruggedness, but then ensuring you have this clarity in the mix? So that's something you're known for. How does that happen?
You gotta, the thing is with music is frequencies. You gotta understand your frequencies. Bass line is one frequency, the drums are another frequency. You can't put them on the same frequency or they'll clash. So being that the bass line is the heaviest thing in the music, the bass line is heavy. The drums has got a thump to it.
Yes.
And then the vocals are usually mid-range. So you make sure you have that mid-range space for vocals.
I'm always asking every engineer that I'm working with, yo, is the kick and the bass line fighting? We want to make sure they're not fighting. You got to make sure that they're working together.
Yeah, the way we do beats now also, like I'll pre set something for Jake, who's our engineer. Like I'll preset the kick so that it does not hit with the bass. Like it's little things. It's simple music things that every producer should know.
Yeah.
And if the producer doesn't know it, then the engineer definitely has to know it because the engineer is the one mixing the record.
Right.
Yeah.
And in order to get a good result, he has to know frequencies, of course.
Yeah.
And if they both don't know it, you gotta fire them.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Get out of here.
Like one thing with me, I love bass in a record. Sometimes Walt has to be like, "Yo, E, chill."
Right.
Because if he leaves it up to me, every record will sound like boom, 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 boom. And the drums will be like boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Walt's the dude that comes in and goes, "Yo, chill."
Chill.
Yo, that's cool, but take that, move that, turn that down,
Yeah, that's what I like about Magnum Force. It's sort of like, to me, it's these techniques that are kind of like it's post editing, like the time stretching, some of the effects processing that helps create like this darkened hue on the mood of the album. Like, how do you feel when as you're layering these beats and you're sequencing? Where does that come into play for like how you're doing some of that drum programming, or as you mentioned, sort of modifying or modulating bass on the album? Are you thinking about sequencing when you're going? You already know what your concept is going to look like at the end.
We didn't work on Magnum Force.
Yeah, we didn't work on Magnum Force.
Oh, you didn't work on Magnum Force at all?
We only worked on Nocturnal. We didn't work on Magnum.
We didn't work on Magnum Force.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about that?
What?
Because Magnum Force, and then what was the other one that came out? Oh, the original Gun Clappers. Their Empire Strikes Back, I think it was.
Right.
Their second album.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you? And I know y'all talked about this, but I don't remember. What was the reason why y'all were not involved in those albums?
They wanted to branch off. To do their own production.
Okay.
So that was them. So, and plus, we were doing other things too. We were doing, we were working with other artists, and was working with Shades of Brooklyn at the time. We was working with Busta Rhymes and Flip Mode and
Eminem.
And we started working on our own album.
Yeah.
And Ruck Rock and OGC, they wanted to do their own thing, and Buck wanted to do his own thing. Tech and Stay wanted to do their own thing.
Yeah,
and it's cool. You need room to experiment, and that's what they wanted to do. So it's cool.
Yeah.
I
mean, it would have been cool if y'all did the beats for those sophomore albums too. But
it makes sense that the sound right. It's like there's a difference, and it is important to that texture, I think. How do you navigate? I think people are having challenges now around how it's easier to clear samples, but at the same time, in the 90s, certainly wasn't. And there was a lot of navigating that had to be done. How do you navigate sort of clearing today versus in that time frame?
Okay. I'll tell you like this. Back in the day, you had to contact the owner of the master You had to contact the writers, like, and you had to make deals with these two people. Because when you clear sample, you're clearing two things. You're clearing the master, which is the actual record, and then you're clearing the through the people who wrote the record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Through the artist that wrote the artist or the writer and producer that wrote the record. And that was a process. Nowadays, what you do is you go on TrackLib.
Yep.
You find something, you go, yo, this is dope. You loop it up, then you go on to TrackLib's back end and it's done.
Yeah.
You know, or you learn how. Nah, I'm not gonna say the other part. Never mind. but you know what it is nowadays, because what it is nowadays people get it. Yeah. And plus nowadays there's no money in music like it used to be. Like in the 90s, trust me, when Walt will tell me that I'm bugging if I'm lying or whatever. There was so much money being spent on nonsense back in the days.
Yeah.
Record companies will they would just give you money for anything. Oh, you want chicken wings? Here's $300 for some chicken wings.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like they would, like back in the days, it was so much money. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays, there isn't money like that. So everyone understands that, and people definitely want to be a part of what you're doing.
On our first album on Raucous, we didn't know we had a lunch budget, and they would leave money for us to get lunch in the studio. We didn't know the money was there, so our A&R used to take that money and go buy weed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. He was stealing our money to go buy weed.
That's wild. Yeah.
And that was money that we didn't know was there. But somehow that money came out of our budget.
Yeah.
And think about it, had we known the money was there, we'd have went record shopping with it.
Exactly.
Right.
You know?
Well, tell me this. What in this new generation of producers, there's a lot of people who also, when you say credit you with like a lot of different things like minimalist, I've heard people say, oh yeah, I get some of that, the atmospheric boom bap, the minimalist boom bap from you. What would be some of the new generation of producers you think that are keeping the spirit of the music alive, of boom bap alive?
Producers who I listen to, I don't think they're new. Like Jake One is not new, and
Jake One's definitely not new. Knots ain't new.
That's who I listen to. The new guys, like the Griselda guys, they're keeping
Griselda.
the vibe alive. Right, Derringer and what's the other guy they got? Forgot his name.
For Griselda?
Yeah, it's
Beat Butcher or Dr. Butcher or something.
The dude that did the J. Cole record that J. Cole took off his album.
No, not you're not talking about not Beat Butcher, not
he produced the J. Cole song. Oh man, what's this guy's name? Anyway, like the guys that the guys that I listen to, like I said, is Knots, Jake One, Soundwave, no Soundtrack. These people, they're not they're down with us. Like they, you know, or they may have came from the school elves after our school. So they those are the guys that I'm listening to. So
like Conductor Williams, is that who you were talking about? Or
who? Conductor. Conductor.
Like me, I'm like Madlib, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like Madlib is my dude, but he's been down since we've been down.
Right, exactly.
You know, like, you know, I'll tell you like this. There's a lot of stuff that I hear that I don't, because there's no credits no more.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I hear. I don't know who produced it, but it's dope.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I feel like an old man right now. Like, hey, what's that? Screw it.
And you know, on the streaming platforms, they very rarely put the production credit on there.
I know.
Yeah.
And even if you want to find it, you have to go in, you have to hit a button, and then you know, do the whole thing. Yeah.
Exactly. I just want to hear dope music.
Yeah. Have y'all heard of A1 and Phonics? You heard that name before?
I heard the name before.
Phonics, A1 is the rapper, Phonics is the beat maker. I think y'all would appreciate Phonics. He's got a
Check it
smooth,
out.
yeah, boom.
Where are
It's
they
very
from?
boom bapish, smooth, jazzy stuff. It's dope.
Where are they from?
I'm not sure where Phonics is from. A1's from New York, though. I'm pretty
Oh, okay.
sure. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
Dope
gonna look
MC.
them up.
Like the newest guys I listen to are loaf music.
Yeah.
That's it. Loaf
It's
music.
who?
Loaf music.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Dope.
Well, now that we sort of talked about celebrated history, I want to talk about some of the newness with Stifled Creativity. I
Yeah.
feel like it's brilliant because it builds in the signature sound, and then it has a lot of other things that I want to sort of act about. But what was the inspiration behind the album title for Stifled Creativity?
Basically, just going back to an era where people will like listen to your album and say, "Oh my God, he used these loops, or he used these drums," and oh wow, where the production is in the forefront.
Yeah,
and we just wanted to keep it pure boom bap. That's who we are, and that's technically what we were raised on. We was raised on that boom bap, so we were just trying to go that route. We can't do nothing else but that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you were making the album, how do you feel your sound sort of evolved on this project compared to early work? So you're saying it's boom bap, but it's also got, I feel like it's very cohesive, but it has a diverse, sort of like you're balancing that experimentation. How do you feel like, where did that come out of?
Really just us being us. That's our sound, but that's our sound. We started working on that album maybe 2007.
Yep.
Wow.
And then we just like the Keith Murray song and the KRS-One song is one of the first songs we started working with. And then later on we did My Year. We started working on that. But it was just gradual steps. And we got, a majority of that album, like 90% of that album was done both with our new equipment. Like there's a couple of songs done with the old equipment, but a majority of it was done with all new equipment, but it still was the same mindset from day one, like from when we first got into the game,
Like,
go ahead, E.
No, I was about to say, like, we really started rocking. Like, we would have false starts. It's kind of like a Black Moon album.
Right.
We would have, like, me and Buck, every time we go, yo, let's do an album. Let's do an album. Okay, let's do it. And, we just keep false starting until it happens. What happened with the Beatminerz album was we started recording, then we stopped, and we got busy with other stuff. And we started recording, then we stopped. Then Walt was like, yo, I want to record a record with such and such just because. Okay. Then we'll record that record, put it on a hard drive, and it'll never see the light of day.
Right.
What ended up happening was during the pandemic, that's when Walt was like, yo, Beatminerz album, what's up? Right. And that's when it really got into, you know what I'm saying? Because we was sitting home chilling.
Right.
We was really chilling, but we were sitting home. So it was like, yo, let's put this work in. And that's when we really started putting the work in for the album.
Yeah.
And that's when I started stealing more Mr. Walt's records.
Oh boy.
And stealing kicks and snares.
Do we still feel like the record collection is 60-40?
What, between us?
Yeah.
No. Because we're still in the house that we were
50-50.
We're still in the house that we were born in. Like this house that we're in, this was our mom's house. So we've been here forever. So the record collection started in 1968, 1969 when I was born, and 2024 is still here. And we own the whole house, so it's like three or four floors full of records.
Yeah, we got records in every room. Like I'm in the kitchen right now, and there's records in the kitchen.
Almost every room, because upstairs where I'm at, where the kitchen's at, and we don't have records in the kitchen.
I do.
He does.
But I don't cook in my kitchen like that, like I used to. So my kitchen now is my pre-production room.
So you have a lot of records in the house. Do you have a lot of songs out there that didn't go on Stifled Creativity that are on hard drives through the years, just sitting there?
We do, but we don't plan
stuff.
on using that stuff.
Yeah.
There's a couple of songs where like, thank God that didn't make the record.
Oh yeah. Like, you know, you may, like I always tell people, it's like we have a vault. But
which everybody does. Everybody has a vault.
Our vault, though, what we do is we actually label the records trash. Don't let nobody hear this. Hey, yo, this is weird.
Right.
And yo, chill, son, chill.
Right.
You know, like we know how to check ourselves.
We got a couple of. Go ahead.
Are these beats or are these songs that you recorded with artists?
We got songs and we got beats. There's a couple of songs from Brace from Impact that we were like,
oh yeah.
We didn't want nobody to hear.
Do the artists know that they've been labeled trash?
If they don't hear it on the record, they take a hint.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't make the cut. Yeah, I guess you did it.
And if they ask Walt doesn't lie, so Walt's gonna be like, yo, your record was trash, son.
Yeah.
Word up.
Yeah.
Trash. Extra trash.
Listen, that word vault, especially in the music game, it could either be good or it could be bad. You know what the greatest vault record is?
What is
the greatest vault record of all time is Ain't Nobody, Rufus and Shaka Khan. That's the greatest vault record of all time. Because you know that record was made back in the days and they just was like, we don't like it. And they scrapped it. And then they put out a live album like in 1982 or something, or 1984, they put out a live album. And they said, hey, with this song just laying around, they just put it out. And look what that song does.
Wow. Oh, wow, yeah.
And then
crazy.
There's people who have vault songs who these songs are in the vault for a reason.
For a reason, yeah.
And when they pass away, all of a sudden these songs come out. There's a reason why these songs are in the vault, people, because they ain't want nobody to hear it. Like, I'm a gigantic Prince fan. Like, Prince got a lot of records that was in that vault that he was like, dude, keep that in the vault. Don't bring it out. And somehow they come out and people are going, what the hell is this?
Right.
Here's my record. No.
Right.
I think about that when I feel like there's, even for experimentation, because I'm like, I was listening to Shattered Sound Waves with my son, and he was like, he's 13, so he doesn't have any, but he was like, this was like industrial hip hop. And that's interesting that a 13-year-old labeled something that, like, what do you think? But it was because I guess from the distortion, those kinds of things, like when you think about it, there's like these obscure, what it is that he didn't recognize it was sort of obscure samples. I feel like for the source material, when it's like everybody's doing the same stuff now. And I feel like this album, there's a lot of like drawing inspiration from new places or sounds that I haven't heard before that was like unconventional. Was that was that something that you tried to do or like you intended? Was that, obviously it feels intentional, but what was the messaging behind it?
Well, what's the name of the song? What was the name of the album?
Oh, for on the most recent on Stifled Creativity, just the album itself. My son used the term industrial hip hop. Heard that term and I said, oh, that's interesting, because there's some songs on there that feel eerie to me. Like there's some eerie quality, like a Silent Storm kind of a thing. Like there's a horrorcore, but not really. But it's like this eerie vibe. Ambient, I guess you would call it.
We just like sounds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we're just, if the sound matches the idea or if the sound matches the vibe, we roll with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we could take anything from somebody dropping a pile of plates to somebody hitting a can, and if that sounds like a vibe or a rhythm to us, we'll take it and we'll find it and put it in the song somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, like we have weird ears.
Right. It's like you know who we are? We're the Black Trent Reznors. That's who we are.
That's like, who we are. It's like, and I think I know. I think she's talking about the Bishop Lamar record.
Right. Yeah.
That's a dope one.
It's like we we hear things.
Right.
And we're here out here, we'll hear a record and we'll hear something in the record that we're going to bring out so you can hear it too.
Yeah.
And that's where the familiarity but not familiarity comes into play. Because what it is you be like, damn, that sounds familiar, but I don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot. Yeah.
You know what we do too? We kind of finish the song after you do your vocals.
Yeah.
So we'll send you the foundation, and then you put your vocals on it. And once we hear the song back with your vocals, more ideas float in our head, and then we add on after the vocals are done.
That's dope.
Which is old school production.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's dope.
It's production, not just beat making.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
We like to actually coach the artist and be like, yo, could you do it like this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
We're old school like that. We don't just send you the email and it's cold, and then you never hear from us again. And, and it's a wrap. No, we don't do that.
That's dope.
Is that how you approached as you were picking artists on this album? Were you thinking about like where you had already curated like the sound you knew you wanted? Did you go into that thinking like, Mickey Fax gets on this or, Ras gets on this? Well, how are you thinking about that when you were selecting folks to collaborate with?
Majority of the artists that we work with, we have relationships with.
Yeah.
There's certain artists we don't have relationships with, but we reached out through a friend saying, yo, can this person get on this record? And blah, blah, blah. But 90% of the record is all artists that we have relationships with.
Yeah.
Mickey Fax, I always wanted to work with him because that guy on that microphone, he's very, very dangerous.
Spitter. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's tough.
Right. So,
I really like the production on this album. Every beat on there I like. There are definitely thank you for making it. There's a few that definitely stand out. To me, Seckle is one. I know that was an earlier one.
Right.
Really love that beat. Fear None with the Villains, man.
Yeah.
I think that might be my favorite beat on there. I love how y'all did. I love the beat for It's All For You, where you had like the song and then it came back at the end with AZ on it. I thought that was super dope. Was there intentionality behind that?
Behind those two?
Having
that song?
Having like the same song basically cut into two.
So I wanted to put Al Scratch and AZ on the same record. But Al Scratch rhymed about one thing and AZ rhymed about something else. And it wasn't going to work. But I liked the song so much and I wanted to keep both features.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let's just do a reprise. Like the way we've been doing our album from Into the Stage On, me and E are fans of other people's albums. So back in the days, James Brown used to do like a 3-hour version of one song. And
right.
Just be part 1 and part 2. Or this one and then reprise and blah, blah, blah. So we were like, you know what? This is our chance. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
So, yeah.
I also noticed on my year, obviously you have De La Soul in there, Pharoah Monch, just amazing artists. You also have Rashid Chappelle on there, who I think is one of the greats of our era today. Like I think he's just an incredible lyricist.
He is. He's incredible on that mic.
Yeah. What was the thought process behind putting those specific artists together on that song?
At that time, I don't know if there was ever a Monch De La song. First of all, number one, we all of us were cool since like 1987.
Yeah.
I used to work in a store on Jamaica Avenue called Music Factory. I was I was the manager, and these guys used to always come into my record store and buy records and see if their records came out and blah blah blah. So I knew Munch. I knew Organized Confusion before they came out. They were always in the store. And then De La, when De La first came out, they used to come to the store too. And we all been cool since the 80s. And I did a record before with he did a record before with De La for the America's Dying Slowly album. And like I said, we are all family. Posthumous' brother, Lucky, he's one of the executive producers on our record. Dope. So the connection was still there and the family vibe is still there. So this was our chance to make another record with them. So in the order that you hear everybody is the order that I reached out and I got verses. So it started with Paz, who I thought would take the longest. He was the shortest. I sent the record on the Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Verse sent me the record back like maybe that weekend.
That's dope.
Then I Rest the Dead Dave. Dave was after him. And that's one of Dave's last verses that he ever did on record. And then Rashid. I always wanted to do a record with Rashid. Rashid is, like I said, I was a fan from when he used to work with Kenny Dope.
Stuff
like that. Like he was just so dope. Like he, I always wanted to, and I felt like he would be perfect on this record. So I put him there, and then the last one was Munch. Let's end the record with Mariano Rivera, and that's Munch Para Munch, and then he just came and wrapped up the record.
So it's a brilliant choice of lyricists.
Yeah,
and then our guy Rute, who's Munch's manager, it was his idea to get Corey Glover on the record.
That's dope too.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yes.
Man. Thank you.
I wonder, Till, do we have time for a couple minutes of the one word challenge?
Yes. It's going to be adapted tonight. It'll be shorter and it's going to be called One Story. So I'm going to show y'all an album, give you one album, and we'll just invite you first story that comes to your mind as it relates, to your experience with this album. And we'll just do a couple. All right. First one is It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back.
Oh, you've been watching me. And you've been listening to me. If there was no It Takes a Nation of Millions to hold us back, there would be no Mr. Walt.
Yeah.
Because this is the record that locked in my decision for me to be a producer. This was the actual record. Like I was going back and forth on music. Like, I don't know if I want to do this. I was making beats, but I wasn't serious with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I worked in Music Factory on Jamaica Avenue from 87 to 91. Delight from Stetsasonic, he used to always come in and buy records from us.
Yeah.
He came in one day and said, "Yo, Walt, you got to hear this cassette." I was like, "What is it?" He said, "I'm not going to tell you." It was an all-black cassette. Now, this was back in the days when we used to get everybody's album before it came out. Right. So he said, "Yo, listen to this cassette." I listened to the cassette. I popped it in. The first thing I heard, London, England. Whatever, right? I'm like, "Yo, what's this?" And then the first song you hear is Bring the Noise. And I'm like, "Oh, this is crazy." And then from Bring the Noise was Don't Believe the Hype. From Don't Believe the Hype was Cold Lamper with Flavor. And then you're like, yo, my mind was blown. And when I heard that record from beginning to end, I said, yo, this is what I want to do. I want to make beats. So every year when it's the anniversary of that album, somehow would either reach out to Hank, reach out to Steve, reach out to Johnny Juice, reach out to Chuck, reach out to anybody and say, yo, thank you so much for making this record, because if you did not make this record, I would not be here.
I love that.
Yep. If you ask me what's my favorite album in any genre, I'll say It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Wow. Hey, man, what's your favorite country album? It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Public Enemy.
That's awesome. All right, two more here. We got Midnight Marauders by a Tribe Called Quest.
Go ahead,
any stories come to mind?
That's the first album cover I've appeared on.
No, your first album you ever appeared on was Into the Stage.
No. Wait, that came out. Which one came out first?
Into the Stage came out first.
Okay, no, but you know what? We took the picture for that first.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, you took the picture. Oh, wow.
Right. We took the
picture. This one?
Yeah.
I'm not. There was a few different ones.
I'm behind the girl. So
right, look behind the girl. You see his face.
If you look on the back cover, you'll see me.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. But that was the first album cover that I did. You know what I'm saying? It came out after, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
A couple weeks, yeah.
and that record right there, like, come on, man, that record is classic.
Yeah.
And y'all know the one who named me Mr. Walt, Q-Tip gave me that name.
Yeah.
A word.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What's Music Factory without Mr. Walt?
From the what?
From the what? From Low End Theory. Yeah, that's me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hip hop history.
Yeah.
All
right. So the next album I've often thought of as like the tad bit darker version of Midnight Marauders. I think it's on the same level, but it just has a bit darker sound. And this is The Shining by Smith & Wesson.
Oh, okay.
Do y'all see that?
Yes. Now that you speak on it, yes. Because matter of fact, some of the records, one or two records that I used on The Shining, Q-Tip gave me.
Really?
Oh,
yeah, wow. Q-Tip gave me. Like, he gave me a couple of records that I used on that record.
Wow.
But that was the record where I had to lay the law down to say to the guys, we are not doing midnight sessions anymore. Now working in the daytime from 12 p.m. to whatever time you want to go, but we're not doing midnight sessions. Into the Stage was done. Every session was done after midnight. Yeah, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't doing that anymore. I was getting too old for that shit, and I wasn't doing that. I'm sorry for cursing. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
But I wasn't. So when we got the budget and when it was a goal to do The Shining, I said, guys, I'm just telling y'all right now, I got it as the oldest, because I'm the oldest guy. I'm the oldest one. I said, yo, I'm laying the law down. We're not recording at night no more. And everybody was mad at me, but hey, look what came out.
I mean, this is a brilliant album, classic in my book.
Go ahead, no problem.
I was just gonna say, I feel like it really is, like, to me, when I hear it, it really does feel like the two sides of the same coin. This and Midnight Marauders. It just, I don't know. Wow. Both of those albums, there's so many similarities to me. The drums that you all used on both albums,
right?
The sampling, the way that you all left room for the MCs. There's two MCs that just have a similar style, different but similar. Just a lot of similarities. But anyway, DJ Evil D, were you about to say something?
I was going to say that album also taught me how to work in the studio. Like, it taught me how to sit in a studio and put something together in the studio from scratch, and how to I also learned how to engineer doing that album also.
See, I don't work that way. I do all my beats at home. E could do his beats in the studio. I have to do mine at home.
I make beats on the plane. Like, if you look at my Instagram, it'll be like, I'm going to Japan, and I'm on my seat making a beat.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's dope.
Like, I work where I work at, and I work here too, of course, at home.
Yeah.
But what it is being with a crew. Like, you are the people you're surrounded with. And the thing that I like with my crew, they'll write a rhyme anywhere. Yeah. So me being me, my equivalent of that is making a beat. So I made it to the point where in the middle of us mixing, I will be sitting in the studio with headphones on, making another beat. And I remember me and Walt was working on a reggae album, and I was making beats. Walt had to be like, yo, slow down. Hold up, man. You speeding, yo. You making too many beats. What are you doing?
It sounds like Mr. Walt's like the balance.
Yeah,
he is. He's the reality check.
And also, I'm the older brother too.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
he's the reality check. So what happens is, I'll come in and go, "Yo, Walt, yo, we gonna do this, that, and then." And Walt's the voice of reason. Well, if we do that, then this is gonna happen. And I'll be like, "Yeah, you know what, you're right."
Yeah,
yeah.
You know,
it's good to have somebody like that around.
Of course, you need somebody to keep you grounded.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Right.
But that's all I have, Prowess.
Yes, wonderful. Well, I mean, this was so dope. We really appreciate you coming by. We're at time. So I want to say thank you so much for
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for your time and your wisdom. I mean, it's so special. I think we're celebrating 51 years. It's important to keep tapping into like what built this culture and what all the different, textures of it. So, shout out to the crew and our audience and everyone tuning in. And I just want to say thank you again to the Beatminerz for joining us, being with us, and to everybody that watched, because I was seeing questions in there that I was trying to grab. But thank you so much. Absolute legends behind all your favorite classics. Special salute to MC Till and everybody's hip hop crew for keeping the spirit alive. Any shout outs that come as we're closing out? Who wants to start? I'll pass the mic and let somebody start with shout outs.
I just want to say thank you to everybody who listened to Stifled Creativity, who supported us throughout the years. Vinyl's coming real soon.
Real soon.
Exact date, but vinyl's coming really real soon. And like I said, thank you for all the people who supported us behind this project. And thank you guys thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank y'all. Thank y'all and thank y'all.
Thank you. Speaking of vinyl, someone did ask me to ask y'all, is there going to be a CD release for Stifled Creativity?
So right now, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that it is. I mean, I guess
we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, we will have to talk about that, but I'm hoping that it is, because I've been getting that same question too. Like everyone's asking for a CD release. I didn't think people still had CD players in their house or in their cars, but I guess I'm wrong.
They're out there.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes. Well, fellas, I want to give a shout out to you guys. You've been a big inspiration to me from a very young age, and you're a big reason why I make beats today, why I love hip hop music. And I appreciate all the enjoyment and the dope music you have given us, throughout the years. And thanks for taking some time to be with us tonight. So shout out to you guys tonight.
And by the way, Blacksmith and Wesson, is the next project.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Can you say more?
Yeah, say that again. It sounded like a
Blacksmith and Wesson, Buckshot and Smith and Wesson, Blacksmith and Wesson.
We're like 4 songs in already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's wow. Yeah, y'all hear that? Okay, listen, y'all asking questions.
Man, I'm speechless.
Notes. Yeah. This is what's going down.
Fully produced by the Beatminerz.
What?
Mr. Walt.
Do you have a release date that you have in mind?
No,
not yet.
Like I said, we're 4 songs in, so we don't know where.
Yeah,
they have a new album coming out at the top of the year on the same day that The Shining came out.
Yeah,
the Smith & Wesson has a new album coming out, produced solely by Ninth Wonder and the Soul Council.
What?
We're pushing for that. Then after that will be the Blacksmith & Wesson record.
Okay, I can't wait, because that last album they put out was fire. I love that album.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah,
that was dope. Well, thank you for blessing us with that information. That's dope.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
I'll be looking January 10th. That's my day. I got it penciled in. I just put it on my.
And like I said, that's the new Smith & Wesson album. Then after that will be the new Blacksmith & Wesson.
Man.
Yeah. That's dope. Wow.
That's super dope.
And y'all heard it here exclusively, right? Like, so please keep it locked in. And thank you so much to everybody who listened, all the Boom Bap heads, every creative out there that's pushing the culture forward. We appreciate you. Stay tuned, and we'll be back in a couple weeks with something new.
Peace.